talk to you also about self-doubt because it's something that my experience is we women struggle with so much more than men, and it can hold us back profoundly because when we doubt what we can do, we therefore lack the confidence to even give it a try.
Yeah.
So how would you recommend someone who does struggle with self-doubt deal with those doubts in ways that keep them from really sitting in the driver's seat?
Yeah, it's such a great question, and we've seen from some emerging research lately that women really struggle with confidence, which is, I think, the flip side of self-doubt. And we struggle much more with it than our male counterparts do, unfortunately. Some of that is genetic. They're starting to discover that some of our genes influence some of our confidence levels. Some of it is environmental. At school, girls do really well in school environments generally because we're fairly good at being compliant and doing what we're asked, and wanting to make things easier for other people around us. Again, part of it's how our brain's naturally wired, part of it's very early as kids we begin to behave that way. But the result of being like that in school is that we know then when we behave really well in something and somebody says, hey, great job, that feels really good for us. And so we want more of that, and therefore we become more and more worried about failing. So the research of Dr. Carol Dweck at Stanford University has discovered that we tend to form some beliefs about whether we can really improve on our talents and abilities or not. And unfortunately, as women, we often think our talents and our abilities are more fixed, that they're a bit innate and there's not a lot that we can do about it. And it comes to that little voice of self-doubt we often hear in our heads about, I'm not really good enough, someone's going to find out, I'm going to be seen as an imposter, failure's going to feel fatal here. So what Carol's research has found is that once we start to tune in to that voice of self-doubt in our head, rather than trying to deny it or bury it, but tuning into it and starting to notice what it's telling us when we're faced with a new challenge, when we're given maybe feedback that might feel critical or negative to us, when we see other people doing amazing things and we feel completely intimidated by them. All of those are examples of where that little voice, those beliefs of self-doubt, are chatting away to us. As we tune into what they're actually saying and just start to sit with that a bit more, Carol suggests that after a week or two, we start talking back to that voice. And the way she suggests that we do that is by understanding that actually very few of us ever try something for the first time and master it straight away.
Yep.
Might feel like that, or it might look like that, but it's pretty rare. What we know is just like trying to improve a weakness takes 8,000 to 10,000 hours of practice, learning anything, because we're literally wiring our brain to support those behaviours, it takes time. It takes effort, it takes practice, it takes mentoring and support from other people to teach us. So instead of expecting ourselves to turn up and get it right first time, giving ourselves the permission, actually we're learning here.
Yeah.
And this is part of the journey. It will take me practice and effort to get there, but it takes everybody else practice and effort to get there as well.
I don't know. I call my little voice of self-doubt and is actually, I call it my small poppy committee because, in Australia we have the tall poppy syndrome and we're afraid to stick our necks out in case we get cut down. So for me, it's my small poppy committee, and whenever I think about doing something, whether it's like launching an online TV channel or writing a book or whatever, it's a little voice that pops in. Who are you to do that? You can't do that. You know. What if you fail? You make a fool of yourself. And I'm blah, 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 and on they go. And I've just sort of learned, okay, I hear you, shut up, I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
But I feel like giving it a name, whether it's people call their gremlin or whatever it is, but it almost identifies, these voices are not me.
Yeah.
They are my fear speaking because my fear wants to protect me from any situation that could be painful. Yeah. And by naming them, I've found it can help me deal with that doubt.
Definitely.
But I think, as you say, just being able to observe those voices.
Well, and recognising there's nothing wrong with those voices. It's not just you hearing them. You're not going mad.
Yeah.
In fact, if you talk to most women, you'll find they've all got that little voice going on the side. I think naming it is great. For me, I name it. When I hear that voice, it's more my ego talking, because my ego wants to keep me safe and protected, doesn't want me to embarrass myself or fail at things. Yep. And so I've learnt to make peace with that voice of just going, hey, thanks for trying to protect me. I think I'm okay. I think I've got this. Just give me a shot at it. And I try instead to tune into the voice of spirit, to say, you know what, if I show up here, maybe there'll be one person in this room as I try to give this talk I'm terrified of doing that it might make a difference for. And that would have been worth getting out of bed for today. So for me, I find it helpful to just try and channel myself a bit more into spirit, because of course spirit is all about love and safety and, you know, wants good things for us. Whereas ego, you're absolutely right, is more about that fear and trying to protect us.